Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video, and we've got a bit of a multi-topic video to go over, ranging from topics like Gustin and on him, himself leaving The Flash after season 9, some new stuff for the Flash movie, some stuff revolving around the Batman spin-off series, and of course some stuff revolving around Batgirl as well. So let's get into it. So Gustin opened up in an interview with E! Online, which I'm not too sure if is meant to be a part of a bigger piece that might come out later in the season, or if it's just for this one little random topic. I'm not too sure. There was no real context given to it in the article, but he did open up about leaving The Flash after season 9, how he's feeling about it, and what's in the future for him. But this is what he had to say. I'm ready for it to be over, and that's not for any negative reason. It's like when you're getting ready to finish high school, and granted, I don't know what college I'm going to after this. I might not get into college. But you're excited to wrap up and move on to the next phase of your life. I'm ready emotionally, and my family is ready to just kind of move into the next chapter together. I've never had a real expectation. I've ever tried to visualize how it would end after all these years, so I've had no idea what to expect from the last one. Whatever script I receive in my inbox is what I'll accept as our story and then move forward with. One thing that stayed consistent doing this for so long is I laugh every day, and that's really special. There's been a lot of moments this season when you're standing around laughing with somebody, having some trivial conversation, and then you realize we won't be all in a room together ever again. I started doing this when I was 23 and I just turned 33, so I've had to learn lessons the hard way and fall on my face and embarrass myself and grow up in front of and with a lot of these people. So it's going to be really weird to not see a lot of these people every day anymore. I'll get to be the Flash forever, even when this ends. We couldn't have done this long if we didn't have people supporting us as much as they had over the years, and it's really shaped who I am. So of course, it's going to be very weird when Grant Gustin leaves this role, and then you see him pop up in whatever it is in like a year's time. You're like, hey, that's the Flash. And, as he does say, he'll be the Flash forever in his heart. And I think to a lot of people in this generation, he will be the Flash. Of course, we do have the Flash movie coming up, which is a good segue into the next topic. But, I think for a lot of people, Grant Gustin will be the Flash for them. But speaking of the Flash movie, we did get a couple of more, I'd say they're teaser posters and stuff that will be rolled into theaters to be put in the different alleys and stuff that you're walking up to when you're going to a different movie theater and stuff like that. So we got one for the Flash here, which looked pretty cool. I mean, Ezra Miller's got his head tilted down, but he gives you a decent look at the suit, and it sort of lit up and in a bit of a darkened environment as well. And then we do have one here for Michael Keaton's Batman, which I think seems to be most people's favorite. These will be pretty good pictures for your phone if you could take off the logo down the bottom. But yeah, they're pretty cool photos. But this Michael Keaton Batman one is pretty cool. And then we do finally have this Supergirl one. And my only criticism here is that I wish she was tilted more our way so you could see more of the crest. Because I think the general fan walking down and seeing this poster won't straight away know who this character is. So I think if they just tilted it a bit more our way so you can actually see a bit more of the crest, it'll make it a bit better. But outside of that, because I know it's Supergirl, it looks pretty damn cool as well. But yeah, you'd expect, especially over the next couple of months, there'll be more and more promo material and more posters and stuff released for this film. So yeah, at least there's stuff that's starting to come out because no one ever thought this movie was coming out. We got a trailer, we got a TV spot, and a couple of different posters. So things are looking good. And next up, we do have some new castings for the Penguin spin-off series from the Batman movie from last year. So Renzi Feliz, Michael Kelly, Shora Agdashlu, however I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Deirdre O'Connell, they've been cast in the Penguin HBO Max series. All character details for these different castings are being kept under wraps for the 8-episode series, which is said to continue the story of the film from last year. Now, it is believed to take place in the immediate aftermath of the events of The Batman, with production starting later this month, reportedly. Now, Kristen Milioti will star as Sophia Falcone, who's the daughter of Gotham mob boss Carmine Falcone, who, of course, we saw die in the Batman film. So one would assume most of the castings with no character details at this point would be associated with other crime families, or maybe politics potentially, but that's a wait and see. You'd assume they might be revealed before the show comes out, but then again, there might be a surprise in there. Who knows? And the last thing to go over in this video is actually some stuff to do with the cancelled Batgirl film, and this actually might take up most of the video because there's just a lot of stuff here to go over and break down. So to recap, in August of last year, the Batgirl film starring Leslie Grace as the titular character was killed off by Warner Bros. Discovery after completing its 7-month production in Scotland, with the film co-starring Michael Keaton as Batman, which now following the Flash trailer release now seems like a bit of an L because everyone's hyped over that. And then also it featured the current comeback story in Hollywood, Brendan Fraser, as Firefly, the villain of the film. Once again, what are they doing? Warner Brothers Discovery executives chose to take a tax write-off instead of trying to complete work on the film, which had cost the debt-ridden studio $90 million and would have cost many more millions to finish and then advertise. And of course, it was also a push to move it from from the streaming on HBO Max to theatrical, either worldwide or in certain areas. Like I think in UK, it had been confirmed for theatrical release, but there was push from other markets and areas around the world to also make it theatrical for places that HBO Max wasn't present. So Australia would be one of them, for example. Now, Leslie Grace has finally opened up on this and given her opinion. So this is what she had to say when she first heard the news. It was like deflating a balloon. On that day, I was very much taking it all in, but also so sure of the magic that happened. In my experience and what I saw in my cast, in our team, that I was like, this must be some crazy thing that we have no control over. I tend to be very optimistic and a positive person in these types of circumstances. And I just leaned on the beauty of the idea that I got to have this experience in my life. Even though I would have loved to share that with the rest of the world, nothing can take that experience away from us. Which is true. That is something that can be held pretty close to yourself. And I think it would have been a very surprising circumstance. It's just being thrown upon you and this news just coming at you straight into your face. And she did open up in this interview that she learned pretty much when the rest of the world did. Like when this article came out and all this news came out at the one time, she wasn't told the day before and stuff like this. And we sort of got the hint of that through the directors as well, that they sort of heard when the rest of the world did. So did Leslie Grace. So this would have been a massive shock that you didn't even get to really experience privately because the rest of the world found it at the same time. And it would have been a bit, as she said, deflating, like a balloon just going all the way down. Would have been horrible. Now, of course, about 2 weeks ago, whenever they announced the DCU reboot, slate, stuff like that, Peter Safran, who is the co-chairman of DC Studios alongside James Gunn, made some comments about the Batgirl film, saying that it wasn't releasable, which I thought was some pretty bold comments. And it's obviously a bit of sucking up to your new bosses and agreeing with what they did. But this is what Leslie had to say in response to that. I had my own meetings with Warner Brothers Film Group CEOs, and they explained to me what they felt about the project. Things that were out of their hands, plans and budgets that were set in place before they were even part of the team. They weren't really specific on anything creative in terms of what they felt about the film and how it would have hurt DC creatively, but I'm a human being and people have perceptions and people read things, and when words are expressed very lightly about work that people really dedicated a lot of time to, not just myself but the whole crew, I can understand how it could be frustrating. Now, as I've said, I think there was a lot of comments made by Peter Safran and James Gunn at that time with the interviews with the DCU reboot, which could come back to bite them in the ass, say 2 years from now, if things don't go perfectly with this slate reboot. Hopefully it does, just for DC's sake, but things might not, and people might refer to these comments like, hey, you had a big head then, now you're getting your just desserts or a bit of medicine chucked your way. So hopefully things go good for them, but comments like that, putting down someone else's work that, we haven't had the pleasure to see. So I don't know if the movie was bad, good, in the middle somewhere, but, those comments could come back around and hurt you in some way. But let's hope they don't, just for DC's sake. Not really Peter Safran's sake, but it's for me as a DC fan and you guys as DC fans as well. But obviously, one thing I was actually curious about is that we heard that a bunch of Warner Brothers people got to see the film, but did Leslie Grace herself get to see the film? Well, this is what she said. That's the one thing I asked for. I got to see the film as far as it got to. The film wasn't complete by the time that it was tested. There were a bunch of scenes that weren't even in there. They were at the beginning of the editing process and they were cut off because of everything going on at the company. But the film that I got to see, the scenes that were there were incredible. There was definitely potential for a good film, in my opinion. Maybe we'll get to see clips of it later on. Now, there has been some stuff that's been leaked online with test footage. I think it was screen tests and some cinematic stuff, previews, I think it was. But nothing from the actual film, I'm pretty sure at the very least, outside of someone recording a monitor when they were filming the movie of a stunt scene. It was I think it was a party and Batgirl comes through a ceiling or something like that. So it hasn't really been much that's come out. With these things, a lot of the time, it wouldn't surprise me in a couple of years, whether it's next year, 5 years from now, whatever it is, that there's some leak stuff that happens, whether it's the leaked assembly cut, maybe one scene that gets leaked, whatever it might be. Would not shock me if that came out in some way, shape or form. But at this point, I don't think this movie is going to be released in any way, just because of the tax write-off stuff and where DC's going in the future. So it could just be one of those things that's lost forever. We had that Justice League movie from George Miller all those years ago where stuff, with screen tests that were done with, actual film and stuff like that, which hasn't come out yet. Some photos have, and we're still waiting on some of that stuff to come out. So Batgirl might be one of those situations as well, but a documentary about this wouldn't be too bad to be made. So I wonder if that'll ever happen. But yeah, guys, that's all to go over in today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on all the stuff we went over. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.